What is up, everybody? Welcome to Pub Sports Radio and welcome to the DFS Picks and Prediction Show. Be sure to tune in every Wednesday, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, where me, Weezy, Monk, and Gordo break down this upcoming card from a DFS perspective and give our predictions on the fights as well. Also, be sure to leave a like, subscribe here to Pub Sports Radio so you not miss out on all the other content throughout the week. And as always, guys, we're going to be going through our fight to target, our fight to fade, our fighter to fade, favorite dog, favorite GPP play, favorite cash play, favorite value play, favorite dart throw. We'll go over our lineups last week, see how we did. We'll give our lineups for this week, and then we'll answer any questions you guys have in the comments as well. Let's kick it around here, ask how we're doing. We got Gordo. What is up? How you doing?
Well, I'm doing great, man. I'm looking forward to this card. It's actually a really, really good card, and another early start time, which means good excuse to drink during the day. But it's one I'm really looking forward to, and I think it's going to be really, really fun to watch. And a lot of very, I think, good Draftkings targets to make. Like, you can take either side in a lot of these fights, and I really want to hear how you guys are breaking this one down, because there's a lot of money to be made, and it's going to be a fun card to watch. So let's take advantage of it.
Absolutely. For my fights to target, I was debating through 5 different fights to target. So many great fights to target on DraftKings here. We got Weezy as well. Weezy, what is up? You looking forward to UFC London?
Yeah, this is a fantastic card, and I've got a ton of bets, and you could put together a million lineups this week. 14 fights, a lot of finishers here, a lot of big favorites, a lot of underdogs that have a path. So I can't wait to chop it up with you guys. This is a fascinating card to break down.
Yes, sir. And last but not least, we have Monk. Monk, what is up? Happy Paul Craig Fight Week.
Happy Paul Craig Fight Week. Let me just correct your pronunciation just a little bit there. There are some great fights this weekend, but only one true fight that matters. It's Paul Craig Fight Week, baby. Let's go. I got no time to waste. Let's break it down. So stupid. What a dumb thing to do. Hey, show the doctor where it hurts, Oezdemir. Oh, this is where Paul Craig snapped my wrist in half. Sorry, go ahead.
Absolutely. Oh, man. Okay, there we go. I think that is a great transition into our fight to target, and I will kick it off. My fight to target is indeed Paul Craig going against Volkan Oezdemir. We have the fight doesn't go to decision anywhere from minus 300. I saw a minus 360 there. But yeah, I think this fight goes one of two ways. Either Volkan Oezdemir goes out there and knocks out Paul Craig in the very first round, or Paul Craig is able to get it down to the mat and he's able to submit Volkan Oezdemir. Either way, I do think this fight finishes more often than not with the knockout of Oezdemir or the submission of Craig. And it is really hard to get away from this fight. I think I'm nearly 100% exposed to it. Oezdemir 8,500. If he wins, I see it being probably a first-round knockout. Paul Craig 7,700. I think he's going to be one of the more, if not the most popular dog on the entire slate, 7,700. If he wins, it's probably an early submission there. So I see no way to get away from this fight. I'm going to be very heavily exposed to it. Weezy, what is your favorite fight to target for UFC London?
Yeah, I'll take the easy way out here and go with Blaydes Aspinall, the main event. It's a 5-round heavyweight fight. 5-round heavyweight fights finishing over 78% of the time inside the distance. And that's since 2013. So it's a pretty good sample size of fights there, about 60 of them. Blaydes scores 5.07 DraftKings points per minute over a huge sample size. And for Aspinall, it's a whopping 6.38 DraftKings points per minute. And that's over a 5-fight sample size for Aspinall. It's the second most likely fight to finish inside the distance. And even on a 14-fight card, it's hard to see whether the winner of this fight not being optimal, especially considering both fighters are very affordable here, right in the middle of the salary range. This is a great fight to target both sides of.
Absolutely. Another fight where I am nearly 100% exposed to it. Gordo, how about you? What is your favorite fight to target for this week?
My favorite fight to target is going to be Jonathan Pearce versus Makwan and Amirkhani. I think this is a really, really fun fight. And we look at a guy in Jonathan Pearce, and it's a guy that was brought up all the time. We talk about cardio machines and DFS, just these stars, because he goes out there and he averages 5.93 points per minute. And in his wins, he gets 118 points in his wins so far. Guy goes out there, grab the machine, and uses his cardio to break people. And that is so funny to me. It is such an ironic matchup because you have the cardio machine, the guy who breaks people, versus the guy who's easily broken in the cardio deficit in Makwan and Amirkhani. Where it gets interesting, though, is no matter how good Jonathan Pearce is as a DraftKings player, he lacks a lot of things defensively, especially on the ground. He puts himself in a lot of very, very bad situations, and for that reason, is very just polar opposite matchup for me. It's either going to be Makwan and Amirkhani round 1 submission, in my opinion, or he gets broken in the later rounds and GSP finishes him late. I think the winner of this fight scores very, very well, and I want ownership on both sides because of it. Makwan's a very intriguing dog because his win condition is that early submission, which I definitely think is on the table. With that being said, JSP is always a guy you want to go out there and look to target, and I do think it's going to be a fun fight nonetheless.
Absolutely. I like that one as well. 3 good ones there. Monk, what is your favorite fight to target for this week?
I definitely had all 3 of those, and that Makwan one is very interesting to me. I agree with Gordo completely. Whoever wins that is on pace to, you put a wrestler against Makwan Amirkhani, there's a guillotine in their future more times than not. I'll go with Nikita Krylov and Alexander Gustafsson. Gustafsson is coming off of a 2-year layoff, but so that's a big red flag. So if you're on the Krylov side, you got to love that. Krylov scoring 4 points a minute, 111 when he wins, almost 112. Gustafsson also put up some decent numbers, before that 2-year layoff. Both guys scoring well over, the average for the division. Krylov, all 8 of his wins over 90, 7 of them over 100, and 3 times he has gone over 110. Meanwhile, Gus, 9 of his 10 wins over 90, 8 of them over 100. These guys are scoring constantly. Computer Monk thinks this is a great one to finish inside the distance. So just to keep it different, I love all your guys' picks, but I'll also give you the minor versus the mauler and Krylov and Gustafsson here.
I like it. 4 good ones there. Let's move on. Before we do so, I do want to shout out the chat for hanging out with us. We got Mauler in the chat, DJ Jenkins, Frank in the chat. We got Rob as well, Justin, and Real Deal Prime. Appreciate y'all hanging out. If you guys can hit the like button, it is much appreciated. All right, let us move on to our fight to fade, and I will let you kick this one off, Gordo. What fight are you fading for this week?
Well, I didn't expect to go first, so there's the obvious answer, but I'm going to go with something different. I'm going to actually take Claudio Silva versus Nicholas Dalby. That's going to be my fight to fade for me this weekend. It's just one I can't really get the best grasp on, and if you look at the numbers-wise, I don't necessarily see Nicholas Dalby as a guy who allows 20 points. Sure, he does allow 2.96 per minute, but he fights at a slower pace, in my opinion, and I do think this is a fight that could definitely go all 3 rounds. Claudio Silva in his older age has struggled to get takedowns all the time, and I don't think he's a guy who necessarily has the biggest upside in his own right as an underdog. And when you're looking at someone Nicholas Dalby who's at that higher echelon of the price range, I don't really see how I'm going to go over there and choose him over the likes of, let's say, a Jai Herbert, Jonathan Pearce. It's going to be really hard for me to get to him, and for that reason, I am going to fade them. There are other fights I'm going to fade, but I didn't expect to go first, so I'll let you guys cover those.
All right, so I'll probably just touch on the one you were probably thinking of. It's going to be Molly McCann, Hannah Goldy, and I actually think Molly McCann wins this fight, and I actually think she scores pretty good. It's just, how do you play her, over some of these other plays up top? I just can't get to it. I think this fight does more often than not go to decision. Molly McCann, 9,300, it's just nuts to me. And then as far as Hannah Goldy, no thank you. So, it's pretty easy fade. I really struggled to find a different one there, so I'll just take the easy route there. Weezy, what fight are you fading for this week?
Yeah, I'll give you guys Charles Rosa against Nathaniel Wood in this case. This fight is the 3rd least likely to finish inside the distance by what the bookies are giving right now. So that makes it really hard to get to Nathaniel Wood at 9,400. Rosa's looked awful lately, and I can't think of anywhere where he will be better in this fight other than he's like the natural 145er, and Wood is coming up to 145. Rosa is so easy to take and hold down. It's hard to advocate punting with Rosa here too. So Wood's too expensive for someone with not much finish equity. It kind of feels safe to fade both guys in this fight. So that's going to be the one I'm going to tell you guys about.
I like it. And then Monk, how about you? What fight are you fading for this week?
I'm going to give you Marc Diakiese and Damir Hadžović. I don't really see a huge upside as far as big GPP tournaments for this one. Diakiese scoring, 3.1 points a minute. That's only good for 11th best this week on the card. Scores less than 100 points per win. His defense is where he really shines, allowing less than 2 points a minute and only 76 when he loses. And this is over 5 UFC losses, so that is a decent sample size. Hadžović on the other side does not score very well. He did make the optimal lineup in his last fight against Yancy Medeiros, but, Yancy's since moved on from the UFC, so I'm not sure how much stock that really holds at this point. 2.56 points a minute for Damir, 84 when he wins. A lot of these numbers are very subpar. Pair that with Diakiese's defense, and I just think this one likely goes to decision. The only upside I do see is Diakiese's takedown and control time against Hadžović's takedown and control time points that he gives up. So I just think that we're going to see a lot of what we saw against the against Slava Claus last time. Fight did go to decision. Diakiese did score pretty well, but we'll just see if I think Hadžović might be able to hang on a bit and not get 118 points put up against him in a decision loss. So obviously Diakiese's best performance in a decision in his career. So I don't expect that to happen twice. So I'll be fading the 91 and 7,100 matchup here.
There we go. All right, let's move on to the fighter to fade, and I will let you kick this one off, Monk. What fight are you fading for this week?
Let's see here. I'll go ahead and give you not the obvious. I don't want to give Mandy Bohm. You know, she shouldn't be favored against anyone. But Nicholas Dalby. His DraftKings numbers are terrible. He has one of the worst salaries according to Salary Voodoo at 8,800. 2.3 points a minute, 69.63 when he wins, and this is over 3 UFC wins. He allows 0.6 points more than that against him per minute, and gives up 85 when he loses. Claudio Silva has a decent offensive output, and he's coming in $800 cheaper than his average. So I'll be this is a dog or pass for DraftKings for me. I'm not sure what the betting lines are off the top of my head, but I assume it's somewhere around -200 for Nicholas Dalby. He hasn't fought in over a year. I just don't like what I see from him recently. I mean, he lost to Tim Means, unanimous decision back in last June. Scored 30 points. He put up 54 in a win against D-Rod. He put up 68 against Cowboy Oliveira back in 2019. I just don't think he's going to come anywhere close to paying off his $8,800 salary this week.
Yeah, right there with you. For me, I will go with the obvious one. I'm going to go with Mandy Bohm, 8,400. I just feel like, she shouldn't really be favored in this spot, really against anybody. You just went and watched tape on her inside the UFC and outside, and just was not impressed with literally anything at all. Whereas Leonardo, she does have some good aspects to her game. I think she's going to be stronger. I think she can get takedowns here, and I think she wins the fight. So I can't get to Mandy Bohm, 8,400. Pretty easy fade for me. Weezy, which fighter are you fading for this week?
Yeah, it's the Bum for sure. I mean, what a pitiful debut that was against a mediocre fighter in Ariane Lipski. She made Lipski look like an all-timer. She looked like, she was going to be inducted into the Women's Hall of Fame after that performance, just absolutely destroying this bum from pillar to post, this fraud, Mandy Bohm. She scored 1.16 DraftKings points per minute in that fight, and she allowed 4.57 points. I mean, for every 1 point that she scored, she allowed like more than 3. She's terrible, man. Don't roster Mandy Bohm. Who pays a favorite salary for this terrible, pathetic? Just don't. You guys, don't. I know what you're thinking, right? Oh, it's a great leverage play. No, it's a fucking terrible leverage play. She should be 0% owned, and that would be too much. I don't think she belongs here. I can't wait for Victoria to take her down and punch mud holes into her stupid face.
I like it. I like it a lot. Gordo, which fight are you fading this week?
Do I have to add anything to that? No, Mandy Bohm is the option for me as well. If you look down, Claudio Silva's number 2, and number 3 is going to be Molly McCann, 9.3K. I just think it's really hard for me to get to that salary. Sure, I think she wins, but why would I go out there and roster her over different people up at that upper echelon of the price range? I can get to it. She's someone to be fading. Maybe not in cash, because I do think she wins this fight at a high clip. But in GPP, I'm staying away from that one for sure.
Absolutely. So we gave some good fades there. Let us move on to our favorite dog. And Monk, I have a feeling I know who you're going to say, so we'll start with you. Who you liking as a dog?
This is why you're the host of this fantastic show, Brady. This is the reason why, and you are proving it week after week again. Paul Craig, obviously. Come on. Paul Craig at a underdog salary at the best salary available, $7,700. Guys, for Salary Voodoo, this is literally the 5th best salary overall. It smashes all other underdog salary. It has a better win percentage than its $8,500 counterpart. But seriously, let's talk about the real deal. Paul Craig here. He's going to bait Volkan like he baits all of his opponents into thinking that he's hurt. Oh no, you hit me really hard in the face. Now I'm going to go around. Please come with me and finish the job. And that's when Volkan's going to be tapping out and tapping his wrist, baby, because he has not enough time to get out of any of these chokes that Paul Craig's going to put on him. It's going to be fantastic. Paul Craig going to trap him like he traps everybody, and he's really going to pay off this salary with a round one submission, well over 100 points, 7,700. You cannot pass that up. Favorite dog of the week, Paul freaking Craig. Let's go, baby.
Gotta love it. Gotta love it. For me, I'll definitely have my fair share of Paul Craig there. My favorite dog's actually going to be Curtis Blaydes, 7,900. I'm pretty split on this main event. It's a really tough pick to call, but Curtis Blaydes, the first time we're getting him as a dog, and if Curtis Blaydes does win this fight, he's going to score a ton of points. He's going to have takedown upside. If this fight does get extended, I trust his cardio more, and I think there's late finish upside as well. Aspinall's never been to that third round. If Blaydes does take it there, I do think Blaydes will have the advantage if it does get to that third round. But yeah, if Blaydes wins the fight, expect a lot of takedowns, a lot of control time, and a massive, massive score at 7,900. So I'm going to have a ton of Aspinall as well. But, as far as my favorite dog, I think Blaydes is going to be my highest exposed dog there on the slate. Gordo, who's your favorite dog for this week?
Blaydes as well, and you guys all know I love Paul Craig as well. Maybe not with as much passion as Monk, but who does? Let's go with another one of mine. I talked about it earlier, kind of, but let's go Makwan Amirkhani. 7.5K. I think his ceiling is super, super high. He's one of these fighters whose win condition is going to score very well. And can he get it? Definitely. Jonathan Pearce, as good as he is, he puts himself in a lot of very dangerous situations that people like Makwan Amirkhani can definitely take advantage of. Makwan Amirkhani is going to be round one or bust, and that round one or bust is going to score 100, 105, 110 points in a win. I do think that as long as his cardio stands up, he's a very, very good fighter. I think in his own right, his takedowns are good. And Jonathan Pearce is a fighter who's going to take it where Makwan's going to want it to be. I think on the ground, GSP is going to be a lot of trouble. If he's any of the spots he was in the last couple of fights, I think he's done here. The ceiling's super high for Makwan, 7.5K. I'm liking him this week.
There we go. Makwan, we got Craig, we got Blaydes. Weezy, who is your favorite dog for this week?
Okay, so what you're going to do right now is you're going to take your Draftkings salary list. You're going to sort it from most expensive to least expensive, and then scroll all the way down to my guy, Charles Energy Johnson. I think the line in this fight is way out of whack. Johnson's the more experienced guy. He's the better striker. He's fought the better brand of competition. So I think Mokaev is way overvalued in this spot. And then that means if he's overvalued, it means that Johnson is undervalued. He's the cheapest price on the slate. This frees up a ton of salary to go up and get the favorites you like. And I think Johnson is actually live to win this fight. He has the measurables, the experience, the striking, the conditioning, and the strength of schedule advantages. Let's not forget that Charles Johnson was running steeplechase with as an Olympic hopeful dream that he had. That's why he's got those Olympic rings tattooed on his back. This guy was running long distance for a very, very, very long time. So he's got excellent conditioning as well. If he pulls off a win here at 6,700, he will surely be optimal. So I think he's a fantastic dog play this week.
Absolutely. And a big leverage play as well. You got to expect Mokaev's going to have a ton of ownership. And I don't think many people are going to get to Johnson, especially at that price tag. So I think that is a really good call there, Weezy. And I think he is definitely more live than his salary does indicate. But let's move on to our favorite GPP play. And I'm going to kick this one off here. It's a fight that surprisingly we haven't talked about yet, which is kind of nuts because this fight on some books looks like minus 280. Fight doesn't go to decision. I think this fight absolutely is going to finish, and I think it finishes early as well. Jai Herbert, Kyle Nelson, I think these guys are going to stand in the middle and bang until one man falls. I like the fact that Jai Herbert's going to have a 6-inch reach advantage. I think he is the more talented fighter. I don't like, him defensively. He's very hittable. He has no chin. Kyle Nelson hits very hard, but I do think he's a better fighter. I do think somebody's going out here, and I do like Jai Herbert to knock out Kyle Nelson. With that said, I think Kyle Nelson's very live for a knockout in his own right, but this is a fight that I'm going to be very heavily exposed to. I think somebody's getting served here in the very first round, probably. Weezy, what is your favorite GBP play for this week?
Well, I'm going to go with Paddy the Batty Pimblett for this one. Paddy in front of his home crowd against a pure grappler with substandard striking is really high upside option to roll with here, in my opinion. It's so hard to see him losing this fight. And in his first 2 UFC fights, he's averaging 108.63 points per fight. I love the matchup for him, and I think it's the 7th highest salary with the best inside the distance prop on the slate. It's a smash spot for a GPP play.
Sounds good. By the way, my mom is my barber, and I'm supposed to get a haircut at around 7:45. I texted her a picture of the haircut I want. I don't know if you guys can see this, but I told her I want this. Can you guys see it?
Yeah.
I told her I wanted this haircut, and she agreed. She said, "Yep, that's what you're getting." So I may or may not show up next stream with a Paddy the Baddy haircut. How cool would that be? But Monk, how about you?
That would be phenomenal. That would be incredible. Shouts out to your mom. I hope she can pull that off for sure. I'm going to go with strictly a salary voodoo play here in Muhammad Mokaev. Best GPP play, 9,500. It is the number one salary overall, has a better salary rate than any other salary that DraftKings offers. Where are my numbers here? It has a winning percentage of 84%. When it does win, it makes optimal 62% of those times. Those numbers are just very hard to ignore. It's the only salary that has an over 50% optimal rate just from being played, just from somebody setting foot in the cage. On the other side, the $6,700 side for Energy Charles Johnson, only one time, or I think it's won twice. Only one time has it made the optimal. And do you guys know who that was? $6,700 making the optimal.
Was it Juliana Pena?
No, that was 65. The only time 65 has been offered. It was who fought Dean Barry, who got
Michael
poked.
Jackson.
Michael, he got eye poked and groin kicked onto the optimal. He was the only one to ever make it. It has the worst win percentage of any salary on DraftKings, 7.69%. That's worse than that's less than half of its next best counterpart. So this one's going to be a strictly. I agree with Weezy. The line is way too wide here. I would never bet this in a million gazillion years. But for DraftKings, I will be paying attention to these salaries, and 67 is just extremely beatable. So I'm going to be going with the opposite end, 9,500.
There we go. And Gordo, how about you? Who's your favorite GPP play?
Yeah, so many good GPP plays this week. I mean, we could talk about the other end of my fight to target in JSP. We could talk about Jai Herbert. I want to do that. But for this one, I'm going to give myself some protection from Monk because I'm taking Volkan Oezdemir as my GPP play, and I don't want to get hurt by what he says.
I'm so mad.
I know. But you got to think about it. There's so many people who go out there and they think just like you. Everyone loves Paul Craig. He's great and he's got good upside, but he's going to accrue a lot of ownership. And I think that Volkan Oezdemir and his path to victory is going to go a bit overlooked. You have a guy at 8.5K. What's his path to victory? It's unfortunately knocking the face paint off of Paul Craig. And is it unlikely to happen? No, I think it definitely has the opportunity to happen more than once. The knockdowns are there. The finish is there. The striking is definitely there. 8.5K when you're getting a guy with such little ownership. As much as I don't want him to win, I definitely think he has a very, very, very good opportunity of scoring well. Very sneaky play. I kind of like him this week.
You have some balls saying that with Monk on the stream.
I'm sorry.
Some balls. He did say he liked him, so
he did.
So
I mean,
he gets a few points back.
I like Paul Craig too, but I'm kind of with Gordo. I think he knocks him out. But hey, Paul Craig, he can definitely pull it off, Monk. So we'll see what happens.
It's a trap.
It could
Always
be
a trap.
It is always a trap with Paul Craig, but
The original Admiral Akbar, Paul Craig.
Yes. Our favorite cash play. I'm gonna kick this one off. It's somebody that I don't think he has the biggest ceiling in the world, but he's somebody that I really feel like should go out here, should win, and should put up a fairly respectable score here. It's gonna be Marc Diakiese, 9,100. I think he has a clear path to victory. It's clear as day. We saw what he did to Slava. I think he comes in here and does that same exact game plan with probably the same amount of success. Hadžović is like a 34% takedown defense, some of the worst takedown defense you'll ever see. Hadžović also a very terrible gas tank as well. I don't want to completely rule out a Diakiese late finish, but yeah, I feel like Diakiese should win this fight more often than not, as well as mixing in takedowns, getting control time, and putting up a very good score as well. So I like Diakiese in cash. I think he is fairly safe this week. Gordo, how about you? Who are you liking for cash this week?
Let's go with some Mason Jones, $9,200. He's facing guy Ludovic Klein, who I love Ludovic Klein. I bet on him huge last time, so I always have a good special spot in my heart, but this is not a good matchup for him, in my opinion. I think that when you're taking a guy in Klein, you're mostly looking at a KO-dependent guy, and Mason Jones has been really, really tough, and I think he has the edges in a lot of spot. Durability for Jones, I mean, he's going to have the pressure upside, the grappling upside. I think a lot of spots here where he's going to go out there and really just wear on Ludovic Klein, and as much as Ludovic Klein looks like Liam picks fights. He don't think he has the same cardio and durability. I think he goes out there and he's able to get finished in the later rounds. I think Mason Jones has a really good floor with his durability. And I mean, that win against Onama's aging well as well. I think his ceiling's definitely there as well. 126 points his last time out. So I do think Mason Jones has very good upside, but also is a very, very good cash play because he is so durable and will have that always pressure forward style.
Yeah, and you left only one thing out of your breakdown. That one thing is Mason Jones is Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week. So you like it even more now.
I do.
There we go. Weezy, how about you? Who are you liking?
Yeah, and first of all, before we get to that, just a plea to Brady's mom. If you have any love in your heart for your son, do not give him that haircut. If you have any love in your heart for the people who watch his content and have to see his face on screen, I have to share the screen with this man several times a week. Please, Brady's mother, do not give him the Paddy the Batty haircut.
Maybe I can get the Liang Na one instead.
Please don't do that either, man. Come on. What were we talking about? Were we talking about DraftKings?
Yes, we're talking about DraftKings and our favorite cash play.
Okay, cash play. Okay, so look, I'm going to give you guys JSP, Jonathan Pearce. JSP is a cardio monster. He's a durability monster. He's a volume monster. He's a pace monster. He is a wrestling monster. And all those attributes make him a DraftKings monster. Over a 4-win sample, Pearce is averaging 121.67 DraftKings points per win if you include his Contender Series fight. If you get 120 points out of a guy with an $8,800 salary, that fighter is going to be optimal. Makwan is notorious for terrible conditioning, and that is going to be a nightmare against an opponent like Pearce. 5.93 DraftKings points per minute and 121.67 DraftKings points per win are impossible to ignore. So at his current price, he is a fantastic cash play.
Sounds good. And then last but not least, Monk, who are you liking for cash?
I'll go ahead and give you Nathaniel Wood this week. It's going to be a hometown guy, 9,400. He's got decent DraftKings points here for being, even though he's been off for almost 2 years, which I generally, that's a big red flag for me is the whole ring rust scenario. But 3.9 points a minute, that's 7th best on the card. Over 100 when he wins, over his 4 wins. Has very good DraftKings defense as well, and he's only 667 over his average, so that's not terrible. Scores well over 100 when he wins by sub. When he wins by decision, almost 90. So I am liking the scoring upside here. Also, if he has one of the higher floors on the card as well. He put up 42 on average when he loses. So even if something terrible happens and he craps the bed, you're probably not out a ton of points here. Charles Rosa, though, I mean, this is a guy that's super easy to fade. I mean, he's allowing 4 points a minute, like Weezy said, 99 almost when he wins. He allows well over 1.5 points per minute in takedowns and control time, categories in which Nathaniel Wood scores almost 0.75 points per minute. So I'm really liking the Nathaniel Wood side from a cash game perspective at 9,400 here.
Sounds good. Nice and safe. I like it. Let us move on to our favorite value play. And Gordo, we'll start with you. Who are you liking for some value this week?
Ooh, value for me is going to be, I've got to choose on this one. I think it's got to be Curtis Blaydes this week. And it's really hard for me to choose in the main event. It's a really close one. But I do think at an underdog price tag of 7.9K, you are getting value. I mean, this guy is, he's a challenge for everybody in the division. It's hard to put my words together because I am really torn in this main event, but putting up 5.07 points per minute, we saw an interview in itself. Tom Aspinall was telling everybody it's a really, really hard matchup for him. He admitted to it just like 6 months ago. And it's really tough because you have a guy who's going to be the biggest step up in Tom Aspinall's opponent history. And he definitely has a ceiling to go out there. I think he does definitely score super well in his win condition because he's going to go out there. He's going to wear on that unproven gas tank. I mean, Tom Aspinall hasn't really been tested much in the later rounds or at all. And you're getting a guy in Curtis Blaydes going to go out there, take him down, test his BJJ, and it's going to be a really, really fun fight. I'm taking Curtis Blaydes, my value play, but it's really one I can't say with too much conviction.
Yeah, it makes sense to me. And mine's one with not a ton of conviction as well. And how could you? It's going to be Victoria Leonardo, 7,800. I think this price probably should be flipped here. And like I said, I'm just not impressed with Mandy Bum. I don't think she's that great. And I feel like Leonardo's going to have the advantage in the clinch on the mat, especially if she can get on top of Mandy Bum. I don't think Bum's going to have anything off her back. And a finish would not shock me as well. So I like Leonardo. She's fought the much better competition by a mile. Her losses are just, Miranda Maverick, Melissa Gatto, Mana Fiora. I mean, the list goes on. Aaron Blanchfield, like the 4 losses she has would all destroy Bum. I mean, Bum wouldn't even show up to any of those fights, I don't think. So, give me Leonardo. I think the prices should be flipped. Am I super confident in it? Not really. But I do think there's some solid value there at 7,800. Monk, how about you? Who are you liking for some value?
A little bit of value because it's hard to see. It's hard to tell where this gentleman's ownership is going to be, but I think it's going to be pretty low. We'll see if you guys agree with me. Alexander Gustafsson at 7,600, I think could be a decent value play here. A lot of people, I'm sure, are, oh, he's old. He hasn't fought in 2 years. Well, he's not that old. He's only 35 years old, which is kind of surprising to me. I thought he'd be closer to 38, 39, but that is not the case. Supposedly he's been training now over at All Stars. Scores, historically 3 points a minute, better than 105 when he wins. He only gives up 2 points per minute, guys. Has a huge power index, the third best on the card. Meanwhile, Krylov has, a chin that can be touched. He's also given up 3.4 points a minute and 95 when he loses, and he has lost 7 times in the UFC. Let's see, 5 of those 7 have been by way of finish, 4 of them in subs. So I'm kind of leaning the Gustafsson side here. I like the price on him. Krylov, you never know when some of these guys, especially since they're kind of over from the same type area of the world, Krylov might come in here with a ton of respect for Gustafsson, and we've seen how respect plays out in the cage, and it's generally, while it's nice to see, it's generally not a way you win fights. So Krylov's going to have to come out here and really put it on Gustafsson. I just think Gus is looking for that W. He wants to come back, get this dub, and I think this is a good chance for him to get it. So we'll see what the ownership is like come, Thursday, Friday, but I think it might be a little bit low. So give me some value on Gustafsson here.
Yeah, I mean, if Gustafsson shows up and he looks good, I mean, this probably looks like a steal at that price. So I definitely like that. Weezy, who is your favorite value play for this week?
Yeah, I mean, I think no matter who you get in the main event, it's a value. But I'm going to give you Aspinall because this guy's scoring 6.38 DraftKings points per minute, fighting in front of his home crowd. The far more dangerous moment winner, in my opinion. And the upside in a 5-round fight for Tom is huge. He's already scoring 109.8 DraftKings points per fight in a 5-fight sample size. So getting him at 8,300 in a 5-round fight at home is just bonkers. There's so much value there. You're gonna have to save some money in a couple places in order to go up there and get some of those guys in the 9K range that you like. And the best way to do that is to stay in that mid-range for a couple of these fighters, get one big underdog like Energy Johnson, and then you can go up and get the guys up at the top that you like. So I think Aspinall or Blaydes, whichever way you go, allows you to free up the salary in order to be able to put together those kind of lineups.
100% agree there. Last one here. We'll move on to our dart throw, and I'll kick this one off. My dart throw is going to be Kyle Nelson, 7,200. Although I do like Herbert to win this fight. Like, Kyle Nelson is going to have a ton of opportunities here. Jai Herbert, a 45% striking defense. Jai Herbert's been knocked out in 3 of his 4 losses. He's also been submitted. So finishing all 4 of his losses here. And we know what Kyle Nelson is going to do. He's going to come in here. He's going to land big shots and potentially put out Jai Herbert. If he does that, I think he does win in round 1. I think that's his path to victory. 7,200, a round 1 win would be huge. So I will have some Kyle Nelson. I think if this does get out of the first round, he's completely screwed, but he's going to go in there. He's going to swing bombs, and maybe one can connect on the very chinny Jai Herbert. Wouldn't completely shock me. So that will be my dart throw. I don't think he'll be super high on there. Monk, who are you liking for a dart throw this week?
I'm going to echo somebody you already said, so I won't spend too much time. Victoria Leonardo, there's no reason this line should be where it is. It's absolutely bonkers. Like you said, Bohm scores 1.1 a minute, gives up almost or over 4.5 points in that Lipsky fight. Just absolutely insane. Leonardo, what's most impressive is, like you said, her wins over Gatto and Fioro, or sorry, her losses over the strength of competition, I should say. She did put up 34.8 against Gatto, and that was only in 2 rounds of fighting. So that is a very, in my opinion, a very impressive score, even in a loss. So yeah, I mean, Bomb's going to have to come out here and show, something before I just stop writing her off completely. So I think Leonardo, this fight in general is going to be very low owned. Leonardo probably, I don't know if she'll be lower owned than Bohm, but we'll see what happens there. Either way, low ownership expected. So give me Leonardo for a dart throw.
Sounds good. Terrifying, but I agree.
Exactly.
Weezy, who are you liking for a dart throw this week?
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you, Brady. Kyle Nelson. Kyle's moving up a weight class here and flying across the pond to take on a very popular fighter in front of his home crowd. But Jai's been finishing 100% of his pro losses, and though Kyle throws bombs. In addition to that, Kyle does attempt a lot of takedowns, and Herbert has pitiful takedown defense. So there's some grappling upside here for Nelson as well if he doesn't want to stand in front of Herbert and bang with him. So I think it'll be like a really low-owned, potentially high upside option on Saturday. Not a bad archetype for a dart throw.
Yeah, one thing we didn't mention, Jai Herbert did indeed get knocked out by one Rhys McKee.
Yeah.
Rhys McKee. So if Rhys McKee can do it, I think Kyle Nelson's definitely allowed to do it as well. Gordo, who is your dart throw for this week?
Man, I don't know if he is going to be low owned because that's 3 of us. I got my Canada hat out, everything too, just to talk about my boy Kyle Nelson, man. I don't even get the chance. That's okay. I do think he's going to be a very good option. 7.2K. I mean, his win condition scores very, very well. He's got that power. And it's not like Jai Herbert was knocked out, 4 months ago, 5 months ago? So I do think he's a great option. I'm not going to waste everyone's time by repeating it. I'll let Brady get his haircut and just pick him as my dart throw.
Sounds good. Hopefully, I actually replied and said Jessica Andrade haircut instead, so I'll be looking fresh next stream.
That's a good haircut, dude. That's a good haircut.
Yeah, she has a haircut you can really set your watch to. All right. I'm pulling up the lineups right now from last week. If you guys have any questions in the chat,
Volkan needs that haircut. He never knows what fucking time it is.
What?
If I said Volkan needs that haircut, he can set his watch to it. He's always fucking looking at it.
Why do you hate Volkan, or are you just a big?
Because he's fighting Paul Craig, baby. He's done. He's done. It's over.
Okay. All right, I'm pulling up the scores. If you guys have any questions in the chat, put them in. We will answer all of them. So last week we have in 4th place Gordo with Soriano 87 points, Sumadarji 48, Brian Ortega 18, Jack Shore 9, Herbert Burns 11, and Charles Jourdain 58 with 235 drafting points. In 3rd place was Monk with Sumadarji 48, Shane Burgos 73, Ortega 18, Dalton Jung 5, Ricky Simone 111, and then Herbert Burns 11, scoring 270. And then 2nd place was Weezy, Soriano 87, Burgos 73, Ortega 18, Jack Shore 9, Burns 11, and then Lauren Murphy 88 with 289 DraftKings points. In 1st place was me, Sumadarji 48, Shane Burgos 73, Brian Ortega 18, Ricky Simone 111, Yair Rodriguez 104, and then the Leech 101 for 458.54. So good week there for me. Could have been even better if Madarji was able to get the finish there, but we'll take a look at the current standings. 24 cards up until this point. We have in 4th place Monk with 9,636 DraftKings points. He is 1,031 behind the leader. And third place, Weezy was 9,773 DraftKings points, 895 behind the leader. And 2nd place is me with 10,211 DraftKings points, 457 behind the leader. And then in 1st place is Gordo with 10,668 DraftKings points, and you are the leader, Gordo, but catching up a little bit.
Stay away, man. You're on fire recently. You're catching up real close. I don't like it.
Yeah, we'll never know what happens this week. And then we'll give our the dog is absolutely barking. We'll give our lineups for this week and then answer some of the questions. I see a couple in the chat here. I'll let you kick this off, Monk. What lineup are you going with this week?
All right, let's see where my tab is. All right, there's no way this one can lose. Muhammad Mokaev, Nathaniel Wood, Tom Aspinall, Makwan Amirkhani, Claudio Silva. Who am I forgetting? Jesus, who am I forgetting? Paul Craig, let's go.
Sounds good. Weezy, what is your lineup for this week?
All right, up top, we're going to go with Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week, Mason Jones. And then we're going to go with Paddy the Baddy, JSP, Jonathan Pearce. We got Tom Aspinall, Victoria Leonardo, who's going to punch mud holes into Mandy Bone's stupid face. And then Charles Energy Johnson freeing up all that salary at the bottom there.
Sounds good. And then Gordo, what do you got?
I will definitely be changing this one. But you know what? Let's rock with the Canadian boy, Kyle Nelson. I'll take Kyle Nelson, Paddy the Baddy, Mason Jones, Marc Diakiese, Makwan Amirkhani, and Curtis Blaydes.
I'm pretty close to that. Give me Makwan Amirkhani. Give me Jai Herbert. Give me Victoria Leonardo. Give me Marc Diakiese, Paddy Pimblett, and then shout the Monk. We got Paul Craig as well to finish that off.
There you go.
Let's answer some questions, and then we'll give our picks here. Frank's saying, do you take Tom and Curtis and DK? In the same lineup, I would say no. Monk, would you stack this fight in anything?
Let's see. Tom and Blade. No, definitely not. I'd go one or the other. I'm personally leaning Tom Aspinall. I'm really trying not to give I think you should play both sides of this one, even though you probably should. I'm really liking Tom Aspinall here, honestly, and I know I'm against the grain there, but I think he comes out here and gets it done.
Weezy, do you think Volkan's cardio can hold up for 3 rounds? I think he's talking about Volkan Oezdemir.
Yeah, I don't think Paul Craig's face can hold up to 3 rounds of Volkan pounding him. So whatever happens in that fight, you got to believe it finishes inside the distance. I really don't think cardio is going to be a big part of this, because either it gets to the ground and Paul Craig finds you in a web, or Paul Craig kind of blocks punches with his face, and Volkan doesn't have any time. So, he's just going to try to hit you once, get out of there, and just go running back to his car, which is like triple parked in the middle of the highway, so we can get back to wherever he's going.
Sounds good. And then I saw one in the chat, Gordo. Rob's asking how good is Molly's grappling, and I'm not sure what he's asking about. I think he's saying Goldy is a bet. I don't know what he means there, but how good is Molly's grappling?
Yeah, it's not one I'm necessarily thinking that she utilizes too much in this spot. I mean, she's had decent success grappling in the past, but it's not one where I think she's going to go out there and proactively grapple here. I mean, her last 2 fights, I guess she can go out there, but Goldy is one who I think she can definitely out-volume on the feet and piece up. So it's one where there's so many unknowns, and that's why it's one I'm really staying away from at $9,300.
Sounds good. All right. We did it, guys. We're going to quickly give our picks here, then we'll head out, and I will let you start. Gordo, what are your picks for this week?
Picked you to have a great haircut. All right. Number 1, we'll take Curtis Blaydes. Then we'll take Jack Hermansson, Paddy Pimblett, Alexander Gustafsson. I'm liking my Swedish boys today. Molly McCann, Paul Craig, Mason Jones, Marc Diakiese, Nathaniel Wood, Makwan Amirkhani, Muhammad Mokaev, Jai Herbert, Victoria Leonardo, and Nicholas Dalby.
Sounds good. For me, give me Tom Aspinall, give me Chris Curtis, Paddy Pimblett, Krylov, give me Molly McCann. I'm sorry about this, Monk. Don't hurt me. Give me Volkan, No Time, Oezdemir. Give me Mason Jones. Give me Marc Diakiese. Give me Nathaniel Wood. Amirkhani, Mokaev, Herbert, Leonardo, and then Nicholas Dalby. Weezy, what are your picks for this week?
I'm going with Tom Aspinall, Chris Curtis, Paddy Pimblett, Nikita Krylov, Molly McCann, Volkan, No Time, Oezdemir, Mason Jones is Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week, Marc Diakiese, Nathaniel Wood, Jonathan Pearce, Charles Energy Johnson for the Shock the World upset, Jai Herbert, Victoria Leonardo, and Nicholas Dalby.
Sounds good. And last but not least, Monk, what are your picks for UFC London?
Let's go with Mason Jones, Claudio Silva, Victoria Leonardo, Jai Herbert, Muhammad Mokaev, Jonathan Pearce, Nathaniel Wood, Marc Diakiese, Molly McCann, Alexander Gustafsson with an upset, Paddy Pimblett, Chris Curtis, Tom Aspinall, and give me Paul Craig or give me death.
There we go. All right, guys, we have no time. But we do actually have a little bit of time to kick it around. Gordo, let the people know where they can find you and where and what you got going on for the rest of the week.
Nothing much this week. Just make sure to check me out on my YouTube at Plays and Fade Sports. Full card DFS breakdown will be out shortly, as well as my best bets for the week. And then check me out on Twitter at GamblesGordo. I'll be sure to post on my plays Friday night. And good luck to all you guys.
Sounds good. Weezy, how about you? What do you got going on?
Check me out on Pub Sports Radio every Sunday for Stat Diggers, right here for the DFS show every Wednesday. Check me out on the MMA Engine YouTube channel every Monday for the main event deep dive, every Monday for probability. And then check me out on my YouTube channel every Tuesday night, 10 o'clock Central Time for Just the Tip with Uncle Weezy. And then tonight, 10:30 Central Time for Ask Weezy. We can break down this card some more, ask me some questions, stats, props, any of that stuff. We'll just interact with the chat tonight. So have a good haircut tonight, Brady, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
Sounds good. And then Monk, how about you? Where can they find you?
Check me out over at Monk Maddox. Life has been crazy this week. As soon as we're done here, all this Paul Craig talk, I got to take a cold shower. I got to shave my head. And then I got to record Game Theory, which will be out sometime tonight on the Monk Maddox channel. Also be finishing the recording of Salary Voodoo, which will be on the MMA Engine. Yeah, check me out on Friday, Happy Hour with Lou. And then Sunday, after we're all finishing, being hungover from this huge Paul Craig win, check me out for the recap of UFC London, probably Sunday around 10:30 or 11 Central Time.
Sounds good. And you can follow me on Twitter, DFS_numbers, Instagram, DFS by the numbers, going live on Friday after the weigh-ins, and also going to be posting a bunch of betting content as well. Have a ton of action on this card. Probably going to add more. I'm hoping for a very nice week there. So leave a like on the way out, guys. Subscribe, all the good stuff. We'll talk to you guys very soon. Best of luck for UFC London. See ya.